If you wander around the 150 or so exhibits that are on display at the Lane Motor Museum, you're not going to struggle to find something you've either not seen before or you find absolutely incredible. And of all the cars here, this one's my favourite. And it's another one-off, one of the many that Jeff has in his collection, and it's called the Fascination. So what's the story behind the Fascination, this incredible machine?
So the Fascination was built in Lincoln, Nebraska, which is a northern part of the United States, very rural. It was a company that also was into airplanes, so they thought that this car was going to be the car of the future. And this is the prototype, and it actually initially it had a propeller in the back that powered the car. And when they were testing it, they had a failure of the propeller and someone was injured. So they decided, well, that's not a good idea, right?
Probably not. Yeah.
Probably not, yeah. And it probably didn't move the car very well. So they changed it. It's a regular drive. It's a Volkswagen transaxle engine in the back. Of course, they made it look very airplane, right? I mean, if you look at the front, the two wheels together.
And it's classed as a three-wheeler, I think.
Yeah.
Because of the track at the front.
It's so close.
Narrow.
And it actually, it has a single, I think they started with a single front wheel. Right. And they found out that wasn't very stable, and then they changed it to this kind of two-wheel, very close together.
So this is a new and improved model.
New improved
Super
model.
deluxe.
Yes. And then the next four models they made after that, they look a little bit different than that, but not much. But they were actually Renault powered.
Okay. So Renault. So this is an air-cooled engine.
This is a Volkswagen.
And Renault water-cooled, presumably.
Yeah, like a 1.2 Renault 4 engine or something like that used in the other.
I'm amazed that had enough power to push that a lot.
Well, I think, that again, they were into airplanes, right? So that they made it, very aerodynamic. So you figure even 40 horsepower would push this along.
Is it plastic?
It's fiberglass, actually.
Okay, so it's fairly light then.
It's fairly light. Plastic windows. They claim top speed of 130 miles an hour, which, I mean, I've driven this vehicle and it does not drive well, especially considering the small front wheels up there, right?
Okay, so was this meant to be the family car of the future? You've got 4 seats.
Yeah.
You've got a trunk somewhere. Have you got?
Yeah, there actually is a trunk right here.
Okay. Oh, right.
Yeah,
okay.
So there's a bit of a trunk there.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got a little bit of storage capacity.
Yep.
Okay. So was the intention that this would be the family car of the future?
That was their intention, because that's one of the big advertising things they had. The car of the future. Because you can imagine in 1970 in the United States, you had very large, right?
Yes.
Large, big cars. That's just before the gas crisis, or the gas crisis was just getting going at that time. So this looks unlike anything that would have been on the road at that time.
And what is it like to drive?
Yeah, it does not drive well. So because of the narrow front wheels, you feel kind of like, and you're sitting right over the top of them, right? You feel like it might tip over. But the worst part is it just doesn't track very well. It kind of wanders like this.
And why did the project fail?
They ran out of money, like a lot of people. They had all these great ideas. They built this prototype, then they built 4 more, which were not much better cars. I don't know if they ever actually sold any of them, but obviously they ran out of money in
perpetual prototypes.
Yep, perpetual prototypes.
It doesn't look to me like something that's been designed by an amateur. It looks like somebody who really knows about kind of science fiction and futuristic design. To me, this looks a bit Alex Tremulous, a little bit maybe Tucker even. Obviously, that was 20 years earlier. Was it professionally designed?
Yeah, I think Tom Tajera helped them do the design work for the body.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And you have no idea what the brief was, because this is a pretty wacky brief by the looks of it.
Right. Yes.
Okay. And the cabin looks a little bit cramped, bearing in mind that it's not much wider than an aircraft, like a private aircraft.
Right, and that's the problem with the United States, where people are bigger. I mean, the front seats are pretty good, although not super roomy, but the back seats are really quite small. And the problem with the aircraft design is, right, that it comes around up above your head, right? And for taller people, they end up, their head is like right up in here.
Yeah, so not massively practical.
Yeah.
So you said that 4 were made of 4 others.
So there's the one prototype, which was Volkswagen.
Yes.
The other 4 were Renault.
4 others.
Renault powered, yeah.
And what happened to those 4? Do you know?
Actually, so we bought this from a gentleman in Denver,
right.
Keith Carpenter. He has one of the Renault powered, and I believe they're all known. The other 4 Renaults, I believe, they're still in the United States somewhere. At least 3 of them are.
Okay.
So they're still around.
So this is running, and maybe the others are running too.
I know Keith's car runs because I've seen it at shows before, and I believe the other car runs.
So I need to start saving my pennies and go out there and try and find one of these, because this is my new favourite car.
Is it really?
I need one of these in my life. Why wouldn't you want one of these?
I agree.
It's incredible.
Funny story about this car was not the prototype, but maybe 10 years ago, there was somebody sent me an article about one of these being auctioned, right, in Kansas or something like that, right? It was one of the 4 Renault-powered ones. I'm like, that would be a perfect fit, right? But it was years ago before it was online and stuff like that, and it was a small auction. You had to go there to be there, right? Mm-hmm. And I couldn't make it, so I just could, because I'm thinking, how much can it go for, right? So Keith Carpenter, who had this one and restored it, he wanted one of the Renault-powered ones. I learned this later from Keith.
Right.
And he went to the auction, and apparently there was him and somebody else that wanted it, right? And so I think it started out like 20 grand, and Keith goes 25, and the other guy went 30, 35, and I think it sold for like $70,000, which I was thinking 20.
Yeah, I think I need to save my pennies for quite a while. And did they all basically look the same?
The Renault-powered ones, I mean, they have the wheels are a little wider for those. The cabin was a little bigger. And because in the Renault-powered, the engine is in here instead of in the very back.
Right, okay.
So the tail, I mean, it's similar, but not exactly the same.
It's got this very wide track with a fuselage type design and kind of flush glazing.
Yes.
Right, I better start saving my money.
Yes.
Okay, on to the next.